It's been called paternity crisis. Data came up a few days ago that pointed to evidence that 1 in every 4 men may not just be the biological father of the child that they've been calling child. But what exactly is this data about? How did we come up with this data? And what does that mean, really? We're joined on the program by the head of strategy and corporate communications, Smart DNA, that came up with these findings. Oluwafemi Popoola joins us virtually on the program. Good morning, Mr. Popoola. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you. Thankfully, there are only 3 men on this show. We don't have up to 4, so the data doesn't stand. But let's speak to the data that you came up with. That's just on the side. Speak to us about the sample size to begin with. What is a sample size? How did you decide the sample size? Then we'll talk about the breakdown of the data, or the results, that is.
Okay, thank you very much for starting with that question, because it's very important to actually talk about that. And I would like to start by saying that, which we emphasize even in the report, that you see, the data that we have is a biased data because the result is actually for people that have come to our facility, to do paternity DNA testing. And what that means is that we are talking about individuals that already have, specific reasons to question paternity. In other words, that to extrapolate that data to say that, 1 in 4 Nigerian men are not the biological father of their children, it might be stretching it too far. However, the data is for tests conducted in our company, and which means that we're talking about why I would not want to say, we're talking about thousands of tests, right? And what it's saying is that out of every 4 men, right, that come around to do DNA testing, 1 in 4 turn out to be negative, which means that the presumed father is actually not the biological father of the child.
So it's important to put that in proper context. So for those who have gone to town saying 1 in every 4 Nigerian men is not the biological father, we'll take it easy. It's just from the tests carried out by Smart DNA. But nonetheless, it is a very, very concerning matter, Mr. Popoola, because it points to issues around trust. It points to a lot of things. But speak to us about the trend now. Now that we understand the data, we know the context. So let's talk about what this then means, or at least the trend you have seen. First off, why do people conduct these tests to begin with? I don't remember our parents, I may be wrong though, except maybe there's a legal issue or there's an extreme case, but I don't remember parents just randomly saying, I want to go and test DNA, except they did and they didn't tell us. So why are people conducting these tests?
Okay, I think 2 things, a couple of things could be responsible. One is access. The technology already became perfect in the last decade or so, or at most 20 years. So it wasn't that available before. Now it's available and the price is actually coming down. So accessibility is one. Then number 2, people are becoming a bit more enlightened. There is internet, there is social media. So people now know. What you don't know, you cannot, if you don't know that it's possible to do a DNA test, you will not go for it. So awareness is increasing. It's becoming more affordable and accessible. But to answer the question of, is it that the prevalence of, misattributed paternity is higher now? I might probably not be able to answer that question because we probably don't have data. What do I mean? In those days, as I said, they didn't have a way of checking. Now we have a way of checking, which means that, in fact, there was a discussion, a forum where I was, and some people were saying, that it's even possible that the rate of paternity misattribution could be higher in those days, because that person was making mention of, people in cocoa, they will just go and, make themselves under the tree and all of that, but there was no way to know. And I kind of think that is the case. So it's difficult to say that it's higher now than then. But notwithstanding, what the data is showing in our center is that in the last 3 years, we've seen a trend, and I think data has remained generally consistent and stable. So in 2023, the data that we pull out, showed that 26% of paternity DNA testing came negative. Now, the data went up to 27% for our 2024 data. Now, 2025 data is actually 25%, which means that it actually trended down by 2%. But if you do the average, we're actually coming to around, 26% negative rate, which is still essentially the same over the last 3 years.
All right. Mr. Popola, so we will be walking through the slides. So you just be our interpreter. So we exhaust and make the most. Let's talk about this type of tests. You talked about, from your record, that there are 3 major reasons why people come for testing: legal, immigration, and peace of mind. And that peace of mind is 83.7%. Please help us make sense of that.
Okay, thank you. So peace of mind test means a test that has not been demanded by a government body, which means that I just have a question on paternity, there's a dispute, then I want to know, right? So that is called personal, DNA testing. And that constitutes the bulk of the test that, we did. The second, in terms of a distant second actually, is immigration DNA testing, which means that for people that are dual citizen, right, maybe they have a child in Nigeria, now they want to, fight that, oh, this is my child, I want to fight citizenship for the child. Usually, in some cases, the government of those countries, could be UK, could be any country in the European Union, could be Canada, could be US, could be Australia, they might demand for DNA evidence to show that really this person is a biological child of, the person that is claiming that they are the father of this child. And then the third is the legal. The legal is where there is a dispute, right? And they've gone to court, and the court has said, okay, the only way to actually establish paternity of a child is to do a paternity DNA test. That's the most conclusive way. And then the court will mandate that, the parties go to, a DNA center to go and do DNA testing. So those are the top 3, types of tests that we do. Of course, there is a prenatal one, which means that some people do not even want to wait for the baby to be born. They just want to do it while the woman is still, pregnant. So that is the non-invasive prenatal testing.
Okay, let's go to the next one, which is of interest, and I want to find out from you specifically. So you did top 10 states that go seek for DNA confirmation. Lagos leads above every other person. In fact, Lagos, from your chart, shows 69%, and the 35 other states and the FCT, my guess is 31% from this data. Is it because of access to the technology, or Lagos is just unsure?
I think it should be a combination of factors. Access is one, economic power is two, and I think cultural factor is another. So access, our base, most of our primary centers are in Lagos, Highland, Mainland. Of course, we have locations across Nigeria, but Lagos is our primary base. That's number one. Then number two is why the price of DNA testing is coming down. The reality is that for a lot of people, it's still high, right? So which means that cost is a factor. And because Lagos kind of have more economic power, that could be a factor as well. And then another thing is cultural, right? Lagos people are generally more cosmopolitan. They're more exposed to, modern way of doing things and all of that, generally speaking. So which means that they will be more likely to, do DNA testing. So it's a combination of cultural, it's a combination of cause and location. And then why that cultural is very important is that we've had instances, for instance, in particular states in the southeast, say Anambra, where when there is dispute, and what you hear is that it doesn't matter, whoever has paid the dowry of a woman is assumed that the man is the owner of all the children, even if they bring pregnancy to the marriage. So cultural things actually play an important role as well.
It's a lot to digest with this data, but again, we must stress that it's based on the test that you have conducted
Absolutely.
in your own center. I'm looking at Lagos now, because let's zoom in into Lagos, and I see that Lekki accounts for most of these tests, people from Lekki, and I see that it's 20%. Lekki is leading for the area that people who've conducted these tests are from. And I must say that these must be very interesting figures for you to look at, and you must have a lot of experience having to handle, or at least, because you give the results, right? So I imagine you see a lot of responses to these results. So maybe, why is Lekki leading, Mr. Popola? What's going on in Lekki?
I think it's still a combination of economy and access and then cosmopolitan nature of, different parts of Lagos. Lekki, we know that a lot more people, economically empowered people, are moving to the Lekki-Aja axis. That could be one. And then for us, right, we know that, so apart from the economic, is the fact that, we opened a new office in Lekki last year, right, around March or so, or April. So which means that we made it more accessible to the people in that environment as well. So it's a combination of economic and, access. But I think another thing that I'm not very sure might be a demographic shift. We know that a lot of development is happening in that axis. We mentioned it right now, the airport and all of that, and a lot of real estates are springing up.
Okay.
And yeah, so that could be another factor.
I'm just asking for the sake of Lekki people. Yeah. That's all. I just want to know why, for a friend, right, Jeffrey? Because Ikoyi is the most affluent, but yeah, Ikoyi is more old money than Lekki. But you talk about the economic power. What is the average cost of conducting a DNA test?
Okay, so for the basic DNA test, which is like the lowest in cost, in our center, we're talking about the peace of mind test. It starts at around 300,000 naira.
Sorry? Say it again.
The basic test, which is like the peace of mind test for, say, a father and a child, come to around 300,000.
So peace of mind costs 300,000. What about the other ones? How high does it get?
Yeah, I think the most expensive will be the prenatal testing, because that is a whole different ball game. But for the legal and the immigration, that is a little bit higher than the peace of mind, because the result is going to be same. But for legal and immigration, that require what you call a very strict chain of custody. What that means is that while for peace of mind, a father can, come with his child and do it, no problem. But for the legal immigration, there must be a very strict chain of custody, which means that the parties to be tested must provide their ID card, passport photograph. The sample collector will look at the picture of the passport, the ID card, match it to the face. At the point of collecting, immediately the sample is collected, it is sealed, not tampered with. Even if the court mandated, usually the court can have an official witness, everything, and everything is sealed. So from the point of taking the sample to the point of processing it, everything is, is the custody is secured. There's no tampering and all of that. So because of the very rigorous system that is involved, that is a little bit higher.
All right.
In terms of cost. Then the prenatal, that is a different ball game, because then you are not going to be able to take maternal blood from the pregnant woman, and then you're taking, a buccal swab from the father and all of that.
All right. We just, we just needed to explore the data and really have a better understanding of the context and perhaps the implication. I don't want people to be not trusting their spouses as a result of this. It's just data, and we should handle it as just what it is. But we've been speaking with Mr. Oluwafemi Popola, Head of Strategy and Comms at Smart DNA. Wish you the very best, Mr. Popola.
Thank you.
Whew, Jeffrey.
Quite interesting. There are lots to digest. I'm even looking at the ethnic. The Yoruba leads with it, the testing, how Igbo next.
Yeah.
Delta, Joy Soko, Robo, Shekiri next.
Because you know the center is in Lagos.
Yeah,
so the samples naturally.
And then men around 40 years and above.
Yeah.
That test is more for male children to confirm.
And so men are the ones that initiate the
men.
test the most.
Women are just a little percentage.
Yeah, I think about 80-something% from the data I'm looking at. You're wondering why we're really interested in this data. It's just data. So
it's data.
We inform Nigerians.
I'm happy we contextualized it.
Yeah.
Okay.